But I don't know if y'all heard, but Recast T'Challa was trending hard all week. All week, Recast T'Challa has been trending. The conversation has been growing, and it has just been a topic over and over and over again. Look at it yet again. After the trailer debuted, this just would not stop. And why is that? Because I told y'all that the petition for Recast T'Challa was not about getting millions of people to sign on. It was already too emotional. It's too complicated of an issue. A lot of people don't pay attention. I knew that. But I did want it to spark conversation, and it's done that. So for all those people that are like, what's the big deal? It's still trending. We're still talking. Okay. And guess what? When the next trailer drop, you don't think it's gonna trend again? A lot of that stuff is gonna trend. So just wanted to point that out, that it is still trending. But here's the thing, and this is a good little article. Go ahead and check that out on the movieblog.com. But here's the best thing about this, because once again, for a lot of the naysayers, a lot of the people that says, it's just a fan petition. No one cares about petitions. What's a hashtag gonna do? Nobody cares. The New York Times cares. That's right. Recast T'Challa, that is the petition, and the hashtag is such a topic of conversation. The prestigious New York Times has covered this topic. Now, this is not the first time it has made national coverage. We've also been on Yahoo Entertainment. We've been on the LA Times. Now we're on New York Times. Okay. And this article, I did want to highlight because it was written by Roxane Gay. And if you know Roxane Gay, here she is right here. She was also a contributing writer to the Black Panther series, the comic. I believe she helped co-write it with Ta-Nehisi Coates. So fantastic, right? She was able to go have this conversation. Why? Because it kept trending, because it was a conversation. This legitimizes what I've been talking about. It legitimizes that this is not just a conversation about fans feeling entitled, wanting their little comic book stories. No, this is about honoring Chadwick Boseman. This is about Black representation. This is about the significance and the inspiration that a Black character has on millions of people across the world. This is deeper than any of those other little movie-related social movements, because it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about all of this. It's about all of that stuff. Now, with that said, let me start off by saying I have a lot of respect for Ms. Gay. I appreciate her bringing this conversation to the New York Times and putting us on a highlight. Because like I said, I always intended for this to be a conversation. Because it's a conversation, I'm going to have to address a couple things. Now, I'm going to try and go very quickly with this. I'm not going to go read the entire article. I'd encourage you to go read it, go check it out for yourself. But I am going to talk about a couple things that I think she missed the mark with. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the things I agree with because, like we're already there, right? But there are a couple things that she mentioned in the article that I absolutely don't agree with. So let's go on. We're going to do a couple excerpts. I'm not going to stay on this for too long, but I do want to address this because, hey, New York Times is a huge platform. That is, I can't compete with that. But I do have my own channel, and I can talk about whatever I want here. So I'm going to talk about this. So let's look at one excerpt that she had here. She says here that there was no choice Marvel and Mr. Coogler could have made that would please everyone. If they recast King T'Challa, many would have thought it was too soon after Mr. Boseman's death. if they simply disappeared for him for a movie by inventing a reason to place him on a mission somewhere. His absence would have been a distraction. Killing him off, as they appear to have done, has angered some. All right. So let me just say that this is what you call in logic a false dilemma. Okay. This is what you call in philosophy it's a logical fallacy. It's a false dilemma. It's basically when you try to create a situation and say that you could only do one thing or the other and nothing else in between. And unfortunately, it's not true. It's just not true. Because for one, let me just say that no one is saying that they have to have, especially not on the petition, that they had to recast immediately. It's sad that a lot of times people jump to presumptions, again, making an assumption without like any basis. They have this presumption that when people say recast, that they're talking about doing the Aunt Viv move. Now, I personally wouldn't have a terrible problem with it because I already know we already suspend belief when it comes to these things. It's happened before in movies all the time. We can live with it, right? But let's just say that's not the only option. Okay. Because as I mentioned before, no, you don't have to come up with some random idea of throwing T'Challa on a mission or whatever. You could just make this take place during the blip. Like I said, there are enough spaces and rooms in the plot and narrative to make it work. It's not like everything was tight and concrete. You know, again, I disprove the idea that Shuri had to be dusted. So for a lot of you that are like, the blip doesn't work because Shuri was dusted. No, there is wiggle room around that in the narrative. And not only that, they did have other options. Coogler and Foggy did have other options. They could have replaced Black Panther 2 with a Wakanda series. They could have done that. They could have done other options, as I'm sure, by the way, many of you in the comments right now can sit here and come up with how could they have done other things to explain T'Challa's absence or what they have to do with T'Challa. I'm sure if anyone can come up with more than one option, that in itself proves that her statement that they had no choice is false. They did have choices. They chose to take whatever route that it is that they took. But to say that they don't have any other choice is simply not true. That is a false dilemma. And all you have to do is prove that there was another option. And I think I just did right there. Another comment that she mentioned. This might seem like just another attempt to influence Hollywood storytelling from an increasingly demanding fandom, but there is a sharp yearning driving the movement to recast King T'Challa, a yearning to hold on to what Chadwick Boseman represented, especially among Black fans. There is a genuine fear that without T'Challa, the Black Panther storyline could lose its sense of power and responsibility. I hear the pain thrumming beneath the calls to recast, and she also goes on to say that she empathizes with it. So hold on one second. I will say that she is correct. She is correct, and I appreciate her empathy here. I really do. But the concern is that removing King T'Challa and focusing more on the mantle of Black Panther and not on the characters, that creates a pathway, that creates a foundation for the studios and even the audiences to make Black characters and Black actors expendable. If you can get rid of King T'Challa and diminish their significance by not continuing his story, if it's so easy to say this titular character, this historically rich character, if it's easy for you to say, put that character away, what do you think you're going to do with other Black characters of lesser significance? You know, like, again, there's no way, shape, or form I don't care who, if it's Kevin Feige or whoever is running it, no one is going to permanently get rid of Peter Parker. You're just not. Peter Parker is a staple. He's a face of Marvel as Spider-Man. You're not going to do it. Yeah, you might have other Spider-Men running around, but you ain't getting rid of Peter Parker. My grandkids are going to know who Peter Parker is because he's going to keep on getting recast. That portrayal is still going to keep happening. My kids just right now, they watching this thing, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on Disney Plus. Guess what? They got Miles Morales, they got Spider-Gwen, and they got Peter Parker. They could have just done pass the mantle and given it to Miles. They could have just given it to Gwen and let her do it. But they was like, nah, we can't get rid of Peter Parker. So again, the characters matter here, and what I'm trying to say is the real concern of trying to get rid of a character like T'Challa and trying to focus on just the mantle, that's not a sustainable model for entertainment. Because as I've said many times, we don't care about mantles. People don't go to movies for mantles or titles. We go for the characters. Quick example, James Bond. You don't care about 007, you care about James Bond. That's why you don't have 007 movies where every movie is a different 007. You have James Bond constantly. There have been 007s before James Bond and even after James Bond. But you don't care about that. Most people don't care about that. We care about James Bond. Let me give you another example. Bourne Identity with Matt Damon. We had 3 good movies with Jason Bourne doing his little, thing or whatever, karate, whatever, and it was great. What happened to the Bourne legacy when they wanted to kind of pass the mantle? They brought in Jeremy Renner. Didn't nobody care about that? Didn't nobody care about it? Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. We came there to see Jason Bourne. And that movie did not do very well. He had all the same moves. He had all the same, he was in the same thing. But nobody cared because we don't care about mantles. We care about the characters. So again, the drive to try and keep the character going is because we don't want them to be expendable. And let me also say that this also applies to someone like Shuri. I don't want Shuri to become replaceable. I don't want her to be, expendable. I want her to be built up, just like I would like T'Challa to be built up. Shuri has some amazing stories. Shuri look, spoiler alert, she becomes a goddess. She becomes better and higher than just the mantle. I don't want people to sit here and be like, oh, well, T'Challa's gone. Give the mantle to Shuri. Oh, well, we don't like Shuri because the actress or whatever. Man, get rid of her. Give it to somebody else. No, don't want that hot potato. I want each character to be there so we can connect with them. We can relate with them. I want to see Shuri rise up, do her thing. I want T'Challa to rise up, do his thing. I want both of them to rise up at the same time, do their things on the same big screen together. That's what we should be looking for. That's what we're fighting for. Let's see. She also said, and unfortunately, whichever character and actor takes on the mantle of Black Panther next will bear the brunt of fans' doubt, disappointment, and derision, particularly if the new Black Panther will be, as some have speculated, a woman. Heaven forbid. We've seen this time and time again, most notably in the Star Wars franchise, where actors of color have endured unconscionable harassment for contradicting certain fan notions, and so on and so on. All right. First of all, let me just say that I think that she is downplaying good storytelling. It's fiction, okay? It's fiction. And in fiction, everyone already suspends belief the moment you walk into the theater. You have the multiverse, you got time travel, you got variants, you got magic. The plot devices erase any and all these little concerns of like, oh my gosh, why is there another actor there? That's out of there. And I've said this many times. Fans are smart enough. Fans are sophisticated enough to also understand the situation at hand. People already know. I would say the vast majority of people walking into Black Panther 2 or any Black Panther knows that Chadwick Boseman passed away. You don't think that they're going to put 2 and 2 together when you put a special message up there before or after the movie? in dedication to Chadwick? You don't think people are going to be like, oh, that's why there's somebody else that there are too many options and too many ways that this could be handled. And I reject this limited thinking. And it is limited thinking because people are like sitting here thinking, oh, well, if you put another actor in there, people are just going to hate it. You don't know that. You don't know that. That is speculation. And it's really just speculating worst case scenario. What about the best case scenario? Again, I challenge people with this. What if Ryan Coogler came out and said, my friend, my brother, my coworker, all this, Chadwick Boseman will want us to continue, and that's why we recast for him. What if he came out and say that? What if if Coogler said that, Nate Moore and Feige and they said in the cast, what if all of them came out and said, yeah, Chadwick would want us to continue, and he would want another black actor to have that role? You don't think people's minds would change? Do you think all this backlash that is manufactured and false, by the way, would really exist if the cast and crew and everybody actually said that? That's why I'm saying this idea that everyone's just going to hate them. No, they're not. Stop downplaying good storytelling and stop downplaying that this could have been handled with a lot better PR. Okay, the PR could have been handled differently, and that could have transitioned people better. Not to mention, it wouldn't have to be immediate. What if they did this for Black Panther 3? You don't think people at that time would have been accepting at that point too? So again, these are not actual, and I'm very disappointed because she's a writer. She's a creative. As a writer and a creative, your imagination is on 10 compared to like the average person. How could it be so confined to think this? That's where my disappointment's at. Like, you better than this. You literally wrote a Black Panther comic. How are you only thinking that this is the only thing that could happen? It's not. There are a lot of different outcomes that could happen. All right, let's move on. We got two more, and then I'm gonna move on this. She also says, for the time being, the filmmakers made the best decision they could. It would be terribly unfair to expect any actor, however talented, to step up in the massive shoes that Boseman left. The new King T'Challa would forever compete with our memory of the original. The successor would be expected to somehow channel Mr. Boseman's swagger and gravitas to replace the irreplaceable. And when the actor who plays the new king inevitably disappoints audiences for not actually being Boseman, he would become the target of intense ire. We should not ask anyone to be placed in that line of fire. Okay. Once again, so many blanket assumptions here. And let me try and go through some of these because, again, these are like, it's sad that people just keep on thinking of the worst case scenario rather than other options. Let's go through this. Filmmakers made the best decision they could. That's subjective. Fine, whatever. It would be deeply unfair to expect anyone else, however talented, to step into his shoes that he left. Okay, I get that. It's not unfair. It's not. Because we don't say it's unfair for other iconic people that step into roles. We don't carry that standard for other people that do these roles that get recast all the time. And again, I don't care about continuity because the average person, the average moviegoer that is not a movie nerd, that is not a comic nerd, they don't care about continuity the way that we try to project on them. Just because we care about continuity doesn't mean that the average person does. Because when it came to Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and George Clooney, those were all the same Batman. You think people really cared if it was a different continuity or not? It didn't matter. They saw Bruce Wayne even when it was a different actor on screen. So to sit here and say that it's unfair, no, it's not unfair. It's their job. They're actors. And again, the situation could be transitioned in a palpable way where people will be eased into this rather than here's a new actor, y'all better love it. That's not the only way this works. Let's see. The new King T'Challa will forever compete with our memory of the original. So is that a bad thing? Since when is that a bad thing? How many times do we have the conversation? Who's your favorite Batman? who's your favorite James Bond? Those compete? Are people losing their lives in the street over it? No, it's okay. Because here's the thing, we're never going to forget Chadwick. We're never going to forget what this man brought to the role. Who cares if we compare the two? What if, let me shock some people, what if we have two brilliant, iconic performances? And now we get to juggle two good things rather than assuming the next person is just going to be terrible, rather than assuming the next person just won't live up to it. Why can't we create the space to allow goodness to happen? Why can't we do that? Why do we have to be prisoners of the emotional moment where, like, this is the only good thing we have and can't nothing else touch it? Well, I'll tell you the answer to that. And the real answer is because we don't have enough. Because we don't have enough Black representation, this line of thinking happens. Because this does not happen, like I said, it doesn't happen with other characters. It doesn't happen with James Bond. It doesn't happen with Superman. It doesn't happen with Peter Parker. It doesn't happen with Batman. When you have those characters that have been portrayed in continuity and in different ones, no one sits here and talks about, oh, but the competition and the comparison. You don't have that. Why? Because you have a plethora of representation. But when you come from the Black community, where we don't have enough representation, when we are finally gifted with something as magical as what Chadwick gave us, we don't know how to react when it's taken away. We don't know how to act when it's gone. This is very similar to, let's say, for example, somebody was raised poor. They had no money all their lives. And then all of a sudden, they come into some really good money. They come into like, I don't know, they win the lotto or something. And somebody comes up to that person and says, hey, let me take some of that money and invest it for you. That person that has never had money, that finally got something good, is not probably going to know what to do with it. And they're going to want to hold on to it. They're going to be like, no. This is the first time I ever had something good. This is the first time I had some money. I can't give you money to go invest. I don't even know what that is because I'm not used to it. And I've told y'all, recasting is like investing. You take something that you hold on dear to, you put it away, and it grows for future generations rather than trying to hold and preserve it. And that's kind of what happens when we talk about not recasting. It's just stuffing it under the mattress. So yes, I reject all of that. And who said that the next actor had to have Mr. Boseman's swagger and gravitas? Nobody can be Chadwick Boseman. There's only one. Just like nobody can be Jack Nicholson as Joker. There's only one. No one can be Heath Ledger as Joker. There's only one. No one can be Joaquin Phoenix as Joker. There's only one. But yet we still have three fantastic Joker portrayals. Not you, Jared Leto. So it is very, very possible for us to have the ability to have multiple greatness given to us if we allow it. You have to be open to it. And then this whole idea of like, if a new person comes in, they're going to disappoint people and we shouldn't be asking them to be put in that line of fire. Again, this is a myth. This is a myth. Because if that new actor comes in and blows our socks off and blows us away with an amazing performance, we will gravitate to that. And what happens if the new actor comes in and the cast and crew welcome them with open arms? You really think that people are going to attack them while we're also empathizing with the cast and crew? No, there are too many variables at play here. That's not how that can work. Last one, and we're going to be done with this. The Recast T'Challa movement seems well-intended. It is, but the fundamental issue isn't whether or not a role in one movie should be recast. It's about what representation demands. Black Panther in 2018 bore the weight of outsized fan expectations as a groundbreaking Black superhero leading a major film. That is an unreasonable burden to place on one character, on one actor, or on one film. Black people, men and boys, as mentioned in the petition, but also women and girls, should have more than one superhero to enjoy and see themselves in. So should people of other races and ethnicities, so should other people of other races and ethnicities, cultures, and identities. We should not be asking Marvel to recast T'Challa. We should be asking it to expand the roster of heroes. We have to think bigger and demand. This is where I fundamentally disagree. And let's kind of go through this. Obviously, yes, we are well intentioned. She had mentioned how it's an unreasonable burden to place on one character, one actor, one film. We're not placing that burden on one person, one actor, or one film. That's not what's happening. When we say recast T'Challa, we're not saying T'Challa only is supposed to carry the burden of all Black representation. That's not what we're saying. That's not what the petition is talking about either. We're also not saying, especially in the petition, that T'Challa needs to be the only hero that Black young boys or men or girls or whoever can look up to. That's not what we're saying. It's almost like if I say save the whales, that does not mean that we don't want to save the trees. That I don't understand how this line of thinking happens with people. We're saying T'Challa matters. I'm saying that T'Challa is not a stepping stone for other characters to highlight themselves. T'Challa is a cornerstone. You build around T'Challa. That is the point. That's why the character was created. The character was not created to be like, oh, okay, y'all got a Black character. Okay, we're going to get rid of T'Challa and then bring on some other ones. That's not how that works. That is not what is being said. That is not thinking bigger. So when she also goes on to say that we should not be asking Marvel to recast, we should be asking it to expand the other roster of heroes. No, ma'am, we should be asking for both. What you are asking for, what you're implying, is substitution and subtraction. That is not thinking bigger. That's saying, well, we had one thing, instead of building around that one thing and adding to it and multiplying it, let's take that thing away and then give you something else in its stead. No, that's not thinking bigger. Thinking bigger is saying, hey, Marvel, keep what we got and give us more. That is thinking bigger. That is the Black representation that we need. The same level of representation that white fictional popular characters get with multiplication and addition. The substitution thing, it doesn't work. You don't substitute something once you get it and then sit here and be like, oh, okay, that's great. If I gave you $20 and you finally had this money, you think it makes sense for me to take that 20 away from you and give you a fresh new $20 bill? Did you make more money? No. And here's the thing. If I gave you $20 and I said, hey, give me that $20 and I'm going to give you $40. Well, yeah, you have $40, but you gave me 20 again. You could have had $60. You see what I'm saying? So like this idea of thinking bigger, why are you settling for the 40 when you could have had 60? We should have been asking for all of the money. So this is why I'm saying, sorry, I fundamentally just reject this. And I'm sad to hear that this is like such limited thinking. It's really confined. It's not as expansive as we're trying to make it out to be. You want Black representation? Add more. Multiply the characters. We already are starting from behind. We can't afford to have less. We can't afford to just make side moves. White characters can do that because they are overrepresented. But minority, especially Black characters, we can't have that. We ain't even... T'Challa was the first lead in the MCU, and you already want to take that away and replace it with a substitution? Why can't we have two leads? Why can't we have more than one lead? Why can't we have leads the way that Ocean 11 has multiple stars and leading roles in that? Anyway, I got a whole bunch of comments here, but I did want to take that moment to address the New York Times comments. Again, this is Ms. Gay's opinion. I totally respect it. I'm just giving my fundamental disagreement, but I do want to extend my level of appreciation for her sharing her thoughts on this issue. drawing attention to it. I want to thank the New York Times as well for going ahead and publishing this, because they didn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like they could have just been like, whatever, this is nothing. But I do appreciate the fact that they found this to be a significant enough topic of discussion. And like I said before, that was always my intention, was to have a conversation about this. And again, if you are new here and if you really don't know why I'm going on about Recast T'Challa, if you don't really understand why people are talking about it, I would highly recommend that you take the time to just go visit change.org/recast T'Challa. And all you have to do is just read the petition for yourself. Do not judge what you just heard in this little snippet. Do not judge what you heard in or what you see on some Twitter post from some random person. Go read the petition. Watch the little video if you want. I made this super simple, super easy to digest. Judge that. Again, if you are new to this subject, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if the YouTube algorithm just threw you in here, don't just go off of this. Go read the petition for yourself. Again, that is change.org/recast T'Challa. Read it for yourself. And if you disagree, that's totally fine. And if you have comments, questions, or, let's just say disagreements, please base it off of what's in the actual petition. Don't come to me talking about what some random person said about sexist people, because we already reject that. Don't come to me talking about some boycott stuff, because there ain't nothing in that petition or on my videos that talk about that. Talk to me about what's in that petition or what I've actually said, and we can go from there. Anywho, that's all I got for the Recast T'Challa stuff. I did want to bring that up because, again, I wanted to talk about it and address those things, because I think, unfortunately, a lot of people just kind of go with whatever is said, and they don't actually hear the counter perspective. But anyway, I appreciate y'all taking that time to listen to me. Go ahead and leave your thoughts, comments on the New York Times article. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.